Hey, good morning. Welcome to Movie Club Monday. Now we're back to the Star Wars saga. I'm Frank Gaffney. Here with me is Queen Amidala Goldman, Joel Fenster, Mark Wotitz Gartner, who Darth Maul is in his bathroom, and Annie King is actually home. Imagine that. Nan is going to jump in when she can. Nan Gelman is going to be our guest again this week. And she loves Star Wars, she says, but we don't know. Okay, so here, okay, so we're watching, if you're watching The Phantom Menace. And wait, and this from last week, I just want to show this. Which one of you idiots sent this to me? Hysterical. I'm gonna put it on the golf cart. Yay! I love Uranus more than this movie. So we're all in agreement that this movie has a lot of nits to pick. And of the 9 movies, I think I can confidently say that this is our least favorite of the 9 movies. Are we in agreement there? If Amy watched it, she would know. All right, so here's nitpick number 1. And even though this movie supposedly takes place before A New Hope, the technology is better. The droids are way more advanced than they were however many years later A New Hope is. Like 30 years?
About 30. 2-ish, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And Ewan McGregor plays Obi-Wan Kenobi. And his hair with the rat tail, really?
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous, okay. And why would they send Jedi to these peace talks, right? The talks, whatever they are. And that's like declaring war because they, at least they should have been not dressed like Jedi, so then it would be a surprise and it would be, woo, they're, but nothing.
I think they're peacekeepers, so they're natural ambassadors. So I would say they didn't send a fighting force. They sent
to defend the movie.
Oh, okay. He's defending the movie.
Fair.
But I mean, okay, so then Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan dispatch the droids pretty quickly. And then they send these 2 rolling droids, I guess they only had 2, to try and defeat them again. It's like, we need a little action here instead of all this political crap, which is boring and we don't care about. And of course, the racism in this movie is out of control. Not only Jar Jar Binks, but the Japanese guy who's the general.
The viceroys, yes.
Yeah.
Totally Japanese.
And I get that, okay, maybe it could have been, he's trying to pay homage to the samurai and the whole, but it's just racist.
Wait, let me just jump in. I was going to mention that as well. And I had a problem with that as well, but I tried to do my best to step back and say, all right, if I was George Lucas, maybe his choice was to be more inclusive and say, let's not let everyone have a British accent. Let's get other parts of the world in. So I applaud that, but the result was, as Frank just said, horrible.
Just as a quick bit of trivia, that race of aliens is known as the Nemoidians, named after Cousin Leonard Nimoy. So
Nimoy.
Oh, wow. Nemoidians. Wow.
And he was Japanese, so that makes sense.
Exactly.
All right, and then even Padma sounds like she is, I don't know, she's like doing an accent even Matthew Broderick would hate. So terrible. Okay, and Jar Jar Binks is like right out of Song of the South.
Oh yeah.
He could be a modern day Uncle
Rabbit.
Remus, right? Uncle Remus? Right.
Yeah.
All right.
I remember a lot of reviews called him Stephen Fetchit.
Yeah. Yes, sir, in big doo-doo this time. No kidding. All right. And so then they go to the cheap-ass Dagobah. It could have been in Spaceballs. That's how bad it looked. There were times when it looked like Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor were on a green screen set. I mean, everything looked so fake. It was terrible.
They were on a green screen set.
Yeah, and it looked like it. And they stole that underwater breathing device from Q at MI6 from the James Bond movie, because that was so. And then, but this is the thing that Joel said. George got so bogged down with all he could possibly do. Look at me with my CGI. And I just want to say, calm down, Mary. It's not all that. Okay, so here.
In the video that we were just watching, in one of the parts, he mentions that one of the producers, and then they show you a clip of the producer saying, in every single scene, there's so much going on, like that was a good thing. They just filled the screen with crap, and that's what he did in the first trilogy, you know, in the new edition. Just loaded the screen up with so much, you don't know what's going on anymore.
Well, here's what I say to that. Where's the special edition for Phantom Menace? You could put more stuff in.
Sure.
Come on, George.
He was tweaking that damn movie up until it came out on Blu-ray. So they just didn't call it a special edition. He just kept, oh, this didn't look right in the theaters. Let me tweak this smile on Padme to, you know,
She
whatever.
smiled?
At one point. I'm sure she did at some point when she cast her paycheck, I guess. I don't.
Yeah. So, okay, so they're gonna destroy Naboo, which is a planet, but the people are also called Naboo.
Yes, I noticed that too. Yeah.
Okay, and then they say that they need Padma there to sign the treaty to make the invasion of her home planet legal. What? Why would she sign that? Right. And why would they need it? They're ruthless. Who cares if it's legal? Just blow up the damn planet. What's wrong with these villains? And fine. And even if, okay, so the whole thing is dumbed down for kids. Thanks, George. And then Jar Jar steps in doo-doo, which is a perfect metaphor for this movie, because it just steps in doo-doo. That's it. I could go on. So Anakin builds C-3PO, and you think, oh, well, that's interesting. But then why didn't he know him when it got to A New Hope? He's like, I built you, sucker.
No, that's
Nothing.
Luke.
Right,
That would be
nothing.
Luke. That
No,
would
but
be Luke, not Anakin.
No,
No,
but
but
Obi-Wan
Anakin-
says, I don't remember these I never owned droids, and he should know who
Right.
both
He
C-3PO
built
and
it.
Yeah, but maybe he was lying about it.
Oh, but Obi-Wan too, that bugged me. Obi-Wan, when Luke brings the droids to Obi-Wan, he says, I don't remember owning any droids. He acts like he's never seen C-3PO, or because he hadn't, because George Lucas wrote part one way
Well,
after.
I think George needs to go back to A New Hope and add it in.
He can't anymore. He doesn't own the movies.
Yeah, true.
And so here's the thing. There were two moments that I thought should have been something, and they were nothing. I mean, R2-D2 meeting C-3PO, you would think something like they could have already started their antagonistic attitudes toward each other, something, but it was nothing. Like, here's the rope. And the same thing when Anakin met Obi-Wan. It was like, okay, this is him. Okay. Like, there wasn't, it should have been a momentous thing, but nothing happened. It was just, hey, here he is. Oh, hi. Okay. And then the pod race. And this is where the movie becomes a 1960s sitcom where the kids need $100,000 and there's a contest they could win for $100,000. That's exactly. And the movie thinks it's Ben-Hur. Like, this was the
But bad
Space
Ben-Hur.
Five
Yeah.
chariot race. Probably 3 times as long as Ben-Hur. And Obi-Wan, we always think he's very wise. He stayed off the planet Tatooine. Wise man. He just stayed on the ship. He's like, I ain't gonna go no pod race shit. No.
Well, to his credit, he was told to stay there.
Yes, and that's great. I would have been like, fine by me. Anakin's mom says there was no father. And now with Jesus Christing the situation. So I guess he was conceived by the midichlorians, right? Which are a race of people, but also something you have in your blood, right? Because they
I
say
think they're a race of people.
we measured him. It's not a race of people.
I
No,
think maybe
this is
thinking
stuff in your-
Mandalorians.
You're thinking of Mandalorians.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
that's just the midichlorians are in your, like you do the ancestry.com and they
Yeah,
check
they're
how
like-
many midichlorians you have.
They're like blood platelets or antibodies or,
Right.
Joel, was the Phantom Menace the first time we ever heard of that?
oh yeah.
Take it out? Oh, okay.
So so there was no father, and an immaculate conception happened only one other time that I remember hearing about. But talk about lazy writing, just lazy writing, because even his father could have been an interesting thing that we find out in episode 2 or episode 3, who his father was. But no, just let it go.
Mhm.
There was
Yeah.
no father. And quite frankly, so she kind of got impregnated. So I think the midichlorians should go on trial and it should be hashtag me too. That's what I think. So
Nan.
hi,
Hi,
Nan.
Officer
Oh,
Nan.
still in uniform.
I'm at
Officer
work.
Gelman.
I just wanted to say hi to everybody.
Oh,
And
You're still at work?
I'm still at work.
Wow.
Crime
Well,
doesn't
thank-
stop.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
well,
I said crime doesn't stop. So
And I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to say hi.
well,
Hi.
that's very nice of you.
And what area of New York do you defend?
Detroit.
I defend an area in Michigan.
Oh, Michigan. I thought you were in New York.
No, I'm Michigan.
Does Michigan have a lot of crime?
Uh,
did you
depends.
not see RoboCop, Frank?
Is that in Michigan? Okay.
Detroit.
So Nan is going to turn into RoboCop. I don't think she's in Detroit, right?
No, I'm in a suburb.
In the suburbs.
I'm in a
Alright.
suburb of
You
Detroit.
want to say something about the Phantom Menace before you go?
I'll say something real quick. I couldn't sit through it again. I have and tried and tried, and I cannot sit through that movie.
That's great. So how
Mark,
many stars?
Understandable.
How many
0.
stars?
0.
Okay. And Mark, you agree with that, I assume. Were you able to sit through the whole thing?
I was. I'll wait till the man's done to speak. But I it better whatever. Go ahead.
No, I'm done. Like I said,
That was
I
it?
tried and tried. I've tried and I've tried through the years, and I just can't sit through it.
Well, I was talking about the nits I wanted to pick on the movie, and I'm well into my second page of nits. So
And
Yeah.
here's another one. Padma says to Anakin, "Many things will change when we reach the capital, Annie." Yeah, it's called puberty. And then rah, rah, rah. And the cool fight, Darth Maul should have been in more of the movie. It really is that really is the best scene in the movie when he's fighting the two of them and the
See,
double-edged.
The male Penny Marshall guy hated that scene. He said it was extremely choreographed. And then he kept showing the old fights with just the two sabers and how it's really not about fighting. It's about what's in their heads, and they're just going and fighting. And this was just flipping around like gymnastics. And he said it looked so ridiculous. And as I was watching, I was kind of agreeing with that. It is so choreographed.
Tell that guy to watch Yoda fight Christopher Lee in the next one. That's much more flippy
Yeah, really.
And choreographed.
and
But
choreographed.
I do agree when we first saw the double-edged lightsaber, it was really, really cool. Like, wow, I
Yeah.
didn't even think of that before.
For moviegoers, that scene was fun. I would say.
Sure.
I enjoyed that.
It woke people up. It was like, oh wow, something's
Yeah.
actually happening.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole thing with Anakin and not knowing how to fly the spacecraft was just retarded. It really was. Not supposed to say that word, I'm sorry, but it was ridiculous. And then Qui-Gon is gone. And then Anakin says, "What will happen to me now?" And I thought, you're going to turn into Hayden Christensen. See you, bye.
And your
So-
acting won't improve.
I mean, there are definitely moments where the kid did get what he was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
they maybe could have gotten a little older kid. It wouldn't have been so creepy with Padma. But I don't know. They ended up
How old was Padma supposed to be in this one?
14, I think. 14, 12.
She's
14?
like
I think
14
14.
14 or 15.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he's obviously 8,
Yeah, he was originally supposed to be 12.
right?
And then Lucas
but
had
they
this
couldn't
brilliant
get.
idea to make him younger for some
I
stupid.
guess they couldn't. They thought, oh, we can't find a good 12-year-old. Let's get an 8-year-old.
Let's get a bad 8-year-old.
I mean, he may have been good in audition, and that's only as good as he ever was. He never got better.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen. So for me, I'm being very, how you say, generous, and saying 1.5 stars. I know it's, again, just because it's in the realm, and yes, this is only my second time watching it in 20 years, but it at least it existed and led to the other two, and then led to the 3 that are better than the other 2. So there I go. All right, so Mark, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure.
Before you go, I gotta go. I just wanted,
Nan, thank
Nan.
you.
Thanks
Thank
for stopping
you.
by.
Hopefully we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
next week, yes, I don't work nights, so next week I'll be, and maybe, and I know I can sit through the other one.
Okay.
Good.
You would think you had seniority, you could pick your own shifts, but no.
Well, this is my shift and I did pick it, so I have nobody to blame but me.
All right.
Did your coworkers laugh at what you had to do now?
Is this the 4 to 8 shift?
No, actually, this is the 10 to 10. I work 12 hours today.
Ooh,
Mm-mm-mm.
no, thank you. No, 12 hours.
So-
no. All right,
Thanks,
go save Michigan.
I'll go save Michigan. You guys be safe and I'll talk to you next week.
Okie doke.
Good night.
Bye. I love you, Amy.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Did you just do the bye from?
Bye.
She came
From,
back. Welcome back.
No, I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
This is what happens when you invite a senior to come.
Exactly.
Bye.
Bye. The bye from Speechless. Speechless? Smartless.
Smartless.
All right, Mark G. Smartless is a podcast that's hosted by Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, and Will Arnett.
It
It's
is
fun. It's very fun
brilliant.
because
so
what
fun.
happens is they 3 of them are friends, and one of them is in charge of getting that week's guest, but the other 2 don't know who it is. And so then the guest comes on, and then they chat and they ask some questions, whatever. It's very cute.
Really, really cute.
Mark G.
All right. Well, you guys know I'm just like the rest of you. I'm a big movie fan, and I've seen this movie twice, and I hated it, and I thought it was one of the worst movies, very boring. So I purposely took a step back, and I try to be as objective as possible, and really almost try to force myself to like it. And it works somewhat. Instead of giving it 1 star, I'm going to give it 1.5. I try to find the best parts of each. At one point, I was almost going to give it 2 stars, and I said I can't based on other movies. That's too much. So I'll start with the bad. I hated Jar Jar even more than I remembered. It was just so bad. I knew he was bad, but it really, really, really bad.
See, this is where a special edition could come in handy. We could cut him out as much as we can.
Or at least give him a normal voice, something.
It's just bad. Frank already mentioned a lot of the nits I was going to say. I was going to mention the racial stereotype accents. I was going to mention, I didn't remember Anakin's Immaculate Conception birth at all. And I was watching it. I was really surprised by that. So hated that part too. I thought they underused Darth Maul a lot. I think everyone agrees with that. And then they killed him off and Liam Neeson, who, to me, those are the 2 best characters. It's like saying, let's just kill off Han and Luke after the first Star Wars. Like, what are you doing? George, come on.
Well, they did kill Obi-Wan in the first movie, so the parallel is there.
Sure, but they left the fun, young, I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah. They didn't kill off Darth Vader in the first movie, and that's kind of what they did with Darth Maul in that sense, to me.
Well, I think Darth Maul winds up in that Boba Fett category. Here's a cool character that you're going to really be interested in, but we're going to kill him real fast and stupid.
Sure. And
he didn't come in till much later, too.
Yeah.
But he
Except
barely was
that-
in it. And he barely talked. I mean, he was in the background a few times, and
Yeah,
he jumped
when
off of a ship, ran in for a fight without saying a word when they were on Tatooine, and then they jumped away. So it was, I don't know.
Yeah,
And
he was in one of those 6 million holograms in the movie. You'd think the holograms would have been a little better.
And I think he does show up in, was it Rogue One or Solo? Solo. Okay, he shows up again. One of the off stories, and
Spoiler
you know,
alert.
I'm a martial arts practitioner, former practitioner. So Ray Park is like a seventh. Well, he's a probably a grandmaster in a few different arts. Him and Scott Adkins are two British movie stunt guys and martial artists that I really do enjoy. So seeing him on screen was great. I love his movements and so forth. He was also the Toad in the first X-Men, by the way. So 1999 and 2000 were great years for Ray Park. Ever since then, I don't know what he's really done, but
All downhill since then.
all downhill.
Isn't he Snake Eyes in the G.I. Joe movies?
I never watched.
Oh.
I'm not a G.I. Joe guy. I was a He-Man guy.
I think he was, and actually those two movies are better than this anyway. So,
I'm sure. I think he was on Heroes on the TV show. He's done plenty. I'm sure he's done plenty of work. Just nothing as big profile with him as in makeup or whatever, doing stuff.
Yeah, I remember his name being pretty big when this came out. Everybody's like, "Who's this guy?"
Yeah, totally. I had no idea who he was before this, and I was totally, whatever.
Most people
I was
would
into it.
say high profile, not big profile, but okay. Go ahead.
Did I say that? Yeah, you're right.
huge profile.
Huge. And I mean, I know this is minor and I don't want to nitpick all day. So just the whole, out of all the things to say in this stupid movie with stupid writing, the fact that young Anakin, who's 8 years old, said he's been working on the racer for years. Like, that's what a
Since he was
50-year-old
4.
would say. I've been working this for years.
Well, you
He
know,
was 4.
think about it. He was born in a way that we don't know or understand. So he
I
made
get
it
it.
come out of the womb with a wrench in his hand and just went
Right.
straight
He
to the
could have been
With
fully
diapers,
formed.
building C3PO2. I get it. It was painful, some of this stuff. So
You know, it's
I'll
like
jump
in
on-
Marvel with all those people being brilliant, and then they create.
yeah, everyone's a genius in Marvel. That is true. That is true. I'll go a couple of the good, and some of this I'm stretching a little bit. These aren't necessarily good, but in a bad movie, I'm trying to find the stuff that wasn't horrible. I'll start with the best part. I thought Liam Neeson, I disagreed with what we just watched before we started recording. I thought Liam Neeson actually embodied a Jedi very well, both physically and spiritually. He was Liam Neeson's like 6'3". He's a big, imposing, physical guy. And then he also, the way he composed himself, I thought the acting was good. I thought he embodied a Jedi more than pretty much anyone else ever, including Darth Vader, who didn't move well. He moved well. Darth Maul.
And he could save your daughter if you got kidnapped.
And he's very good at writing lists.
Yes, he is. There was that. The kid, I'm going to try to give the kid credit here, whoever this kid was that played Anakin. I remember him being the worst actor in the world, and I'll say that there were parts, like Frank alluded to, where he wasn't horrible. You got to give it the fact that he's an 8-year-old kid acting along, in a huge Star Wars movie. So I'd say he wasn't as horrible as I remember. And then lastly, the overall story, I will say, if you take out the writing, I don't know how you do that, but the overall actual story, while still slow paced and very boring, was better than I remembered. It actually, I was getting the story where they were going with it. You just needed to take out all the Gungans and Jar Jar and all the stupid stuff and the too political stuff with the viceroys, but I got where they were going with it. And so from my mindset, I actually enjoyed it better than I thought. So 1.5, maybe even 1 3/4 stars, but I'm going to stick with 1.5.
Whew. And I thought I had a lot of nits to pick.
Oh, I mean, I left out so many things that I hated about it. I don't want to take 20, 30 minutes of just bashing the movie. So I'll leave it at that.
We
was
could
bad.
make this the longest one we've ever done. I think we
I
did
wrote-
a 45-minute
I
one once.
I-
didn't we?
We're already at 30 minutes.
Ah, you timed
I
it?
wrote more notes.
You're like,
I did
go.
wite more notes.
I know
I
we
did write more
started
notes for this.
32.
Oh, I did write more notes for this than any other Zoom we've done entirely. So, and that's why I try to pare it down a little bit.
All right. And so you didn't get to watch the movie this week.
I didn't get to watch the movie because my Disney and all my movie channels weren't working today. But I did want to share with you one fun thing that I had from, as did Frank, but I don't, you weren't at Fox in 1999 when this movie came out. I was still at Fox, and we all received, there was a carton that came to the office, and the return address was Skywalker Ranch in California. And inside were these beautiful Naboo starfighters. It comes off the face. It says Phantom Menace, Naboo starfighter. And mine is number 214 of 2,500 ever made, and it's made out of heavy pewter. So I just wanted to share that little lovely.
Nice. Very nice.
And I thought I had action figures too, so I pulled out my action figures, and it turns out they're from 1997, the limited edition. And somehow I have 3 Luke Skywalkers, and then a whole bunch of Star Trek characters. No idea where they came from. So that was that. So I couldn't watch the movie. I haven't seen it since 1999. I don't remember it at all. But I watched a 70-minute review of it, so I kind of am able to follow along. But one question I did have that he mentioned in the review, and was this true? Did Qui-Gon or Obi-Wan get promoted to Jedi Knight during this movie?
Yes.
Because what he said was, if you go back to the crawls, it says there are 2 Jedi Knights wherever they start for the thing. So there were already Jedi Knights. So that was ridiculous. If that was really the case.
That's a proofreading problem.
Mm.
Nobody went back and proofread the crawl against the movies to say, oh, wait a minute. He's not a Jedi Knight yet. He's still an apprentice. That's why he's got the rat tail.
And you would think that George would have noticed that since he wrote the damn thing.
Why would he notice that? You've seen the rest of the script at this point.
He couldn't remember to call action. He could have called cut a lot more. That would have been good.
And just keep in mind that another spoiler alert for next week for the next movie. The rat tail continues with the new Padawan.
Wait, I didn't know he was showing things. I'm gonna go get something. Annie, you start talking.
Okay.
Wow, that reeked of. I don't want to hear what Annie has to say, so I'm going to leave the room.
Oh, wooed.
Well, yeah, basically because I enjoyed the movie. So I remember going when it came out, and I was like so excited because I really loved the Star Wars trilogy. So I was excited to see the movie. And I think I really enjoyed it when I went to see it in the movie theater. But upon rewatching it this time, and I've seen it throughout the years, it'll come on and I'll stop and watch a couple of scenes or whatever, so I've seen it here and there, but
I think that would be a preferable way. Just watch some of it. Don't watch all of it. Just watch some here and there.
So sitting through it again and having heard all you guys, how much you hate it and stuff, I was definitely able to nitpick a little bit more. Like some of the scenes were just boring and it was long and a lot of like not necessary things, so I enjoy the movie. I actually like little Anakin, but that's probably just me. I like little kids.
And he is beautiful, that kid.
Yeah.
He was cute. Yeah.
Yeah. So
did he actually do any other movies?
Not really. He when I have some things to say when
right.
my turn.
All right. One of the questions I have was like, do they ever explain where the Siths come from or how they became
the Sith Lords?
Yeah.
Not in the movies, they don't, but in some
so
of
they're gonna make a TV? Or,
anything's possible at this point, TV wise. The background of a lot of characters and ideas do get played out in things beyond the movies. Some of the books, some of the comic books, and a lot of that stuff, once Disney bought Lucasfilm, was relegated to what they're calling, it used to be the Star Wars expanded universe, but they didn't want to be beholden to any of that. So they I think it's like Star Wars Legends or something like that. It's not canon stuff anymore, but anything that was going forward is, and it's a mess. But anyway.
Yeah, but when you say Sith Lord, it sounds like you're lisping. Sith Lord. Sith Lord.
Joel, question. Sorry, go ahead, Amy.
It's also like knowing how it moves forward.
Yeah.
Kind of ruined it a little bit for me. Like when I just didn't connect it to to what's his name, the Chancellor, like the
Palpatine.
Palpatine and stuff. And knowing it, now I could see it when they did the little hologram and stuff. And I was like, oh, you know, that's kind of ruined it a little for me because I was like, what happened? You know, like,
Well, that's the thing with Anakin and the stupid spacecraft too, because nothing's gonna happen to him.
Yeah.
So there was
Right.
no stakes involved. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
who
that
cares?
part was silly. Like, oh, which button should I push? You
Yeah,
know,
oh my
and
gosh.
that kind of thing. Yeah. So, but still, I like watching it. It was fun, and I sat through it, and it went by pretty quickly for me, except for the long parts that Danny and I looked at each other and were like, okay, I'm done with this scene. Let's move on.
Right?
But
That's where the fast forward comes in.
yeah. So I am giving it a 2.75 because I gave Spaceballs 2.5 and I couldn't stand that movie.
See, now you're stuck.
Now you're beholden.
Yes,
Be
so I had to
beholden.
go 2.75 on this one.
All right, Joel, let's have some verbal diarrhea, shall we?
Blah.
Where do I begin?
Yeah, it's honestly, I agree with just about everything that everybody said, even the nice stuff that Annie said.
And
Obviously,
do you agree that it's the worst one of the 9 movies?
yes, it is. It is the worst part of the Skywalker saga. There's a reason why the fans have created what's known as the machete order of watching the movies, which is 4, 5, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Which, yeah, that's how I
one
watched
is-
it the last time I watched it.
Right, and one is not
Skipping
a factor.
one completely, yeah.
Yeah, because
Wait,
there's
Joel, real quick, would
Yeah.
you rather watch the Phantom Menace or the holiday special?
Ah, the holiday special at least is campy.
that's the holidays.
I thought you were going to say, or the Incredible Hulk.
I'd rather watch the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, me too.
But
I'd
there's
rather
no-
watch.
No,
I'd rather watch Thor: The Dark World. Uh, I would probably rather watch Leonard Part 6.
I can't even find it to watch it.
And admittedly, I've probably seen Leonard Part 6 about as many times as I've seen The Phantom Menace.
Which is twice.
Nope, I have not. I have seen it more than twice in its
Okay.
entirety. I've probably seen
This
it.
is where I would like to say Joel is a glutton for punishment.
I am a glutton, but I readily admit I'm a masochist when it comes to certain types of movies or movies in general.
Right. There are
but
some shows you watch, I'm like, really, Joel? Don't you
we,
have
all,
better things to do?
we all know how I felt about Gotham, but
I was
watched
just gonna
all
say
5
Gotham.
seasons of
Number
that.
one.
Damn show.
And
Horrible.
we watched Gotham for
Yeah.
the first season. We
Yeah,
were
me
like,
too.
we're going to stick in.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, no. Lord,
No, but
no.
I stuck with it, and it frustrated the hell out of me. But anyway, and this movie does the same thing because I mean, Lucas had over a decade to kind of figure out where he wanted to go and what he wanted to do. And I
I
think
disagree. I think he was
Didn't
like
have a
a
decade?
year before, he was like, I'll write it. Never thought about it
well,
for
no,
16
no.
years.
I having read enough about the process that he went through and stuff between the opening of Return of the Jedi and 1990, the early 90s, 94 or ish, was when he really started to kind of say, all right, I'm ready to go back and do something. And it took him a while to figure out what that was and where he was going with it. So yes, between 94 and let's say 97, when they started shooting and they were doing all the special editions, the original movies to get them all in line, to make them all look similar again, he had to come up with an idea. The idea of going back to make a prequel trilogy is not a horrible idea.
No, I think it's great.
It depends on how you're going to do it, because you're dealing with two things. You're dealing with a generation of people who grew up on a middle trilogy,
Right.
who are going to expect certain things, and you do kind of have to play into that. And I think he ignored a lot of that, or was wrong-headed about what he thought they wanted to see. Yes, if you want to make this about the Skywalker family, that's fine, but you got to do it in a smart manner, because as you said, there are no stakes in this movie. We already know what happens to Anakin Skywalker. We already know what happens to Obi-Wan Kenobi. So we're looking at new characters. So Qui-Gon Jinn is an interesting new character that he doesn't do a lot with. He's got a great actor in the part who's doing the best he can with the material, but he's got nowhere to go, and then he's dead, so he's irrelevant. And Darth Maul falls into the same category, you know. Unfortunately, Queen Amidala she's this monotonous robot who kind of talks like this through most of the movie.
Well, but he did try to, when she was Padma, make her more human.
Yes, and
go
ahead.
Which I appreciate, because she had her queen, facade.
I enjoyed her more as Padme too. I thought she was better than I remembered as Padme.
Yeah. It's Padme? Why am I saying Padma? Oh, she's on Top Chef, right?
Yeah.
She's on Top Chef, Padma.
Right. I think that taking a different track with certain things, with some of the characters he created, he could have guided the film in a better direction, so that we actually were invested in the characters. Yes, you have to remove the Gungans. They are comic relief at its worst.
But this is the thing, Joel, and I think we've discussed it, is that there was nobody saying, "Oh no, George,
right? Well,
come on, no." So when he did the first trilogy, at least Lawrence Kasdan was there saying, "Oh, maybe we can work on to make this a little blah blah blah."
But it wasn't just Lawrence Kasdan on the original trilogy. You had you had two other directors working with him on the other two films. You had Frank Marshall producing.
Right. So here he was too insular. He thought, I know what to do.
He had over a decade to surround himself by yes men.
Yeah.
Who basically were like, "Oh yes, this is a great idea, George. Let's do this. Oh, you're enamored with the CGI because that's really what you wanted to do. You were waiting for the technology to catch up with you. So let's just go with that. That's the important part." And the thing is, unfortunately, everybody fell in line, because this was the biggest thing since sliced bread that was coming out.
We were all anticipating it, of course.
And we should have been, but to the point where, like, he actually was able to change the game at the box office in how much money the studio or him was getting up front based on things, the
anticipation.
Well, and I think those terms kind of got out of hand at the time, and have kind of changed movie going a little bit, not necessarily in a great way for theaters, but
because that's how you used to pay $20 for a popcorn,
right?
Because they have to make their money somewhere.
Exactly.
Joel, can you just explain a little further? So what, he charged more money to show his movie?
Yeah, so what happens with the movie theaters, they rent the movie. So the movie company would get 50% of the gross, they get 50% of the gross. But with this trilogy, George Lucas was like, "No, I want 85% and you get 15."
I don't remember that, and my job was to collect the money from the theater. And
how much was it, Joel?
It was actually it was a 90-10 split.
I was just going to say, what I remember, it was called like 1 down 70. The first week we got 70%, and 16, and went down to 30, and it stopped at 30.
Right,
and there was something called the 90-10. And I was going to jump in and say there was a 90-10. I didn't remember that was because of George. I thought that had existed. So I couldn't be wrong.
He was able to push the boundaries on the terms that the studio was dealing with the theater exhibitors. And, as you were saying, it's, a movie would open and it would be like a 60-40 split. And then the next week it would be like a 70, it would go down.
50-40,
With The Phantom Menace, it's not only started as a 90-10 split, it had to be in the largest theater of the multiplex. It had to be there for 4 weeks.
Right.
It didn't go down for 4 weeks. I mean, so this was like, highway robbery. Everybody made money, of course, but
there were other movies where you had to guarantee a number of weeks.
Right, but it wasn't to this effect. And I think I think it really, everybody looked at that going, "Oh, well, if George can do that with this, we can certainly do that with this." And but
look how much you're learning, Mark, about distributing movies.
And you're an accountant, so.
And as a free capital market fan, I don't hate the idea of somebody pushing the envelope, because it's his world. He created this. He's changing life, as you say. He's changing the movie industry.
Yeah,
Who's to say that's
part of
wrong?
it-
Who's to say that's wrong? It's unfortunately that he did it with a 1.5-star movie, but people still fell in line. So that just shows you can do what you want in some cases.
Yeah, and part of the thing was that movie theaters would be like, okay, fine, because then when people show up and there's no seats, they'll go see something else, which
Right.
we're getting 50% of the gross for.
Correct. There were definitely upsides for everybody involved, but I think that there was a lot of backlash to the film, obviously, because it was very disappointing to the fans that grew up with the original trilogy, and I think that's unfortunate. There are things to like about the film. I think there are some nice concepts in the film that will get played out in the next two films in a slightly better manner. I think, as I've said, or some of us have also said, Liam Neeson, Ray Park, Qui-Gon and Darth Maul are definitely the better ends of the film. Even though Amy mentioned that the reviewer she was watching said that the fight scene between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon and Darth Maul was very choreographed, it is very exciting. Made much more exciting by John Williams' amazing Duel of the Fates composition that accompanies it. But at the same time, it also feels like a video game level. It's like you're trying to beat the boss. And,
Right.
and it doesn't
I
quite
felt
work.
that way too when those balls rolled in. I'm like, what is this, a game? All right, but this is the thing too, Joel, and you're gonna agree with me, I know. We all still watched the movie and then said, well, maybe he'll get it better the next time. We did. We're like, okay, maybe the next one.
And we'll get to that in the next one. I just have two more kind of quick things to say. Jake Lloyd, the boy who played Anakin.
Jake Lloyd, that's
yes, and Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar, I think really bore a brunt of fan menace that they that they should not have, because they are actors who are doing the best that they could with the material, and unfortunately Jake Lloyd didn't do much after this, and if you read up on him, he unfortunately was diagnosed eventually as schizophrenic.
Wow.
And has had a lot of problems in life. And Ahmed Best actually got so depressed over how people reacted to Jar Jar that he actually contemplated suicide at one point because of this film. And I think that fans,
not to be rude, but I think quite a few people wanted to contemplate suicide after watching it.
I think that it is, fans have to understand sometimes what their hatred or dislike of something
I think vitriol is the word.
It's a much better word. Yes. It's okay to dislike the movie. It's not okay to get personal about the people involved, unless it's George Lucas. But
there are exceptions.
There are exceptions, but at the end of the day, it's a disappointing film. It is boring, and for me, that's the worst thing a film can be. I'm going to give it a 1.5, only because of Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn and the better parts of the film. I actually, as much as the pod race is filler and trying to be Ben-Hur, I kind of enjoy it, because if it weren't there, that first hour and a half of the film would be like watching paint dry.
But it still goes on too long.
It did, and there was a longer version of it originally. It was like 10 minutes longer, and I'm like, no, it's we're good, no more. So anyway.
All right,
Joel,
so
wait. I have a question for Joel, just so I can understand. So for the first 6 parts, we have Siths, and then in the last 3 we have Wrens. What is? I don't understand the background, or am I wrong?
Let's table that for now, because it's.
I think we're going on an hour for this one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll zip it.
So this is the bit of crap I went to get when I ran out, because I don't know why I kept it all these years, but I did, and so here, look.
Oh my God, I remember that you had that.
Wow,
that's cute.
Yeah, I don't know why I kept it, but it's the actual box. You can buy. This was this is episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
So that's when it was.
Yes, as Natasha just said, you didn't keep it. You didn't just keep it. You've moved it
Yeah, several
several
times.
times. Are there still
When was Revenge of the Sith? What year was that?
2005.
Yeah, so
Are there still cornflakes in there?
no. 16-year-old box of cornflakes.
Cool.
All right, so thank you all.
Hey,
We
one
are-
more question, one more
Oh, okay.
question. Is there always a fight scene where somebody falls down a long thing?
Yes.
Yes, yes, a never ending. But you know, in this movie, nobody's arm got cut off, so there's that.
He got cut in half.
But Ewan did say, I have a bad feeling about this.
Yes.
Right away. It was like the first line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
Really?
very early on.
Yeah.
Okay, so next week, of course, we'll continue this with Attack of the Clones. What is it called?
Attack of the Clone. You got it right. Attack of the
Oh,
Clone.
wow. Okay. And then and also in the MC universe, Shang-Chi starts on Friday, right?
Shang-Chi.
Oh, excuse me, Shang-Chi.
I've been pronouncing it wrong and I got corrected. So.
Shang-Chi opens on Friday. And What If is continuing. I enjoyed episode 3.
Yes.
That was also good. So that's we'll get to it in about 7 weeks, I guess. But Shang-Chi, we're gonna review after we finish this trilogy.
From the commercials, I can already tell Aquafina is going to steal the movie. She's hilarious.
She's hilarious. You know, she's
Hilarious.
from Queens. She's from Queens.
Is she?
Yeah.
I can see that.
Forest Hills.
Nora from Queens. That's her TV show,
Yeah.
Yes.
which is very funny,
cannot.
by the way.
Oh,
No,
awful.
I love it.
No,
Frank and I
We
gave it like
couldn't
3
get-
episodes.
we
Oh,
couldn't. Yeah, we couldn't get through it.
Funny.
All right. So thank you. Good night. I'm Frank Gaffney. May the force be with you as always.
And also with you.